What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics. No charts, no graphs, no desktop. Just a little chat today, like we do on occasion. Guess this is more of like a podcast format. What do I want to chat about today? Something that we briefly discussed on a live stream while I was at the Philly show with bad internet. And that is kind of, are we back in a cyclical nature of the card world? What do I mean by this? And as always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below as we kind of work through this, because I definitely want your boys and girls' opinion on this one, almost like a vibe check, I guess. The sports card world seems pretty good right now. You know, prices aren't going to the moon. That's fine. Prices are on the high end are still getting wrecked on the normal everyday cards, $50 cards, $100 cards, to even $300, $400, $500 cards. Stable-ish, given what's going on in the world around us. Shows are packed. eBay sales are doing really great for a lot of people. A lot of stuff's moving, once again, particularly on that sub $500 level, even really sub $300 level. And the main focus I kind of want to take on this is the show aspect. I've been talking about it. A lot of people have been talking about it. You see it in videos, vlogs, in-person reports. I see it in chatter and comments on Discord, on Twitter, on IG. Shows are packed to start the year. Since the beginning of the year, shows have been a madhouse. I go to anywhere from 1 to 3 small local shows a month. And when I say small, I'm saying like sub 80 tables, give or take. I have been to a larger regional show in Shipshewana. That's a 180 table show. And I was at the Philly show a couple weeks ago. That was, once again, that was a 180 dealer show, I believe. But there was way more tables than that. That place was packed. Shipshewana, absolutely packed. There was a blizzard the night before. Trade night was packed. The power went out. People didn't care. I wasn't able to make it down to Card Collector 2 trade night this past week because it was March Madness and the weather was kind of crappy. I watched the vlog for that. I could tell you, I live in Ohio. The weather sucked on Friday. Trade night was really busy. At least it looked really busy in the video. I wasn't there, but his video looked like all the tents were pretty full. The shop inside was also full. So what in the hell is going on here? My take, theory, whatever it is on this, is that there is a general cyclical nature to all this now that we are, I hesitate to say back to normal. Listen, boys and girls, the real world could come in and just smack the hell out of us at any point in time. Banks could collapse, whatever. All sorts of nonsense could happen. Inflation's still crazy right now. Real world economic stuff could still happen that throws a monkey wrench into everything. But for the time being, sports cards don't seem to really care, or at least the people that are involved in them don't seem to really care about any of the outside noise. At least they don't act like it. My theory is, and like I said, we talked about this on the live, that November and December roll around, and we as human beings, as in a macro sense, are busy. We're busy financially, and we're busy with time. Christmas is coming, Thanksgiving's coming, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate, you probably got something going on in November and December. Money's tight and time is tight. You don't have a Saturday to run and spend 3 hours at a card show, an hour at a card show, 2 hours at a card show, drive 3 hours to a card show, spend the day there and come home. You just don't. You got Christmas shopping to do, you got gifts to wrap, you got parties to go to, work events. All sorts of nonsense is happening in November and December. The first of the year comes around, which is where we sit right now. That kind of first, I'm going to go January through April. All of a sudden, I don't want to speak for everybody, you got a lot more time on your hands. Kids are off winter break. They're back in school. The weather sucks in at least most of the country. It's cold. It's not vacation season. The financial stress of the holidays is behind you. Maybe you got bills to pay a little bit. And then, here comes Mr. IRS man with a little check for a few $100, a few $1,000, depending on your situation. or maybe he's taking money away from you. So you get the little stimulus injection in there for at least part of the world. So you have 3 hours on a Saturday because, you know, the weather sucks outside. You don't have any Christmas parties to go to. You don't have gifts to wrap. You don't have presents to buy. And you go, cool. Hey, let's head on over to the card show. I got nothing else going on this time of year. And that's kind of the beginning of the year. And I think people, I know myself, November and December is, you know, I get out to shows still, but like December, a lot of shows kind of close down. They do them like right before Thanksgiving and then kind of say like, okay, we need a break. We're taking the year off. Not everyone, but a lot do. And by the time January and February roll around, even me, myself, I remember when the Atlanta show was firing up in January or February, I was like jonesing for a big show. I'm like, I almost spontaneously drove to Atlanta the night before because I just really wanted to get to a big show, vibe check, kind of see what it's like, boots on the ground type situation. I didn't end up doing that because I had Shipshawana coming up pretty soon and some other local shows and stuff to go to. But I think a lot of people come off the end of the year feeling like that. Like, oh man, I miss going to shows. I miss checking out my local show. I miss being active in the hobby. I miss going to trade nights. I miss buying and selling cards. All this end of the year stuff's behind me. Like, let's rock and roll. That's the portion that we're in now. I'm going to call that like basically the first quarter of the year, January through April. May rolls around. Weather breaks. Kids' activities pick up. Kids are getting ready to get out of school. And my prediction, we're getting in the prediction land now, is, and I don't know if it's going to affect prices so much, but maybe just more vibes, maybe the show scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to May, June, and July and things slow down a little bit. People might start gearing up for the National, or they're gearing up to go to Disney, or whatever family vacation they got planned over the summer. Time, once again, becomes more precious. Kids are out of school. You have just more general summer. Even if you don't have kids, the wife wants to go do stuff, the significant other, whatever it is you got going on in your life and your day to day. Summertime is always busier, a lot more running around. Not necessarily on the financial side of things for some people if you're doing a lot of traveling or whatever. But just generally speaking, your time constraints are sucked up a little bit more. Suddenly spending a Saturday afternoon at the card show when it's 80, partly cloudy, and a gorgeous day outside, all of a sudden doesn't become as easy when you have baseball practice or the grass needs cut or this, that, or the other thing, or you're on the road going on vacation. Then the National comes around. People get hyped up, kind of builds up that excitement. There's a lot of chatter. I know personally, July leading into August typically is a really good month for YouTube views. The National really definitely spikes things up in regards to, I always see a little bit of a spike in viewership. The other thing I forgot to talk about too, January, February, beginning of the year, you have the Super Bowl. NFL playoffs are winding down. And we move right into baseball season. We've seen a ton of excitement around baseball. Baseball season leads into, beginning of baseball season leads into the NBA playoffs. That carries us into the beginning of the summer. NBA playoffs end. Then we just have the middle of the season of baseball, which is kind of boring. We're not necessarily to NFL training camps yet. There's kind of a dead zone in the sports card world there. End of summer comes along. The National kind of kicks things off. Football training camps open up. Preseason opens up. And you see interest start to rise again. Then I know my local shows during the beginning of football season and leading up to football season are once again insanely busy. Insanely busy. The local Cleveland show, they usually kick off the fall schedule because they take the summer off on the first weekend of NFL football. Because I always run to the show and then hurry up and run back home to get home before the game starts. And that show's always packed. Now, it filters out pretty quickly as soon as the games start. But in the morning, it's slammed. The weekend shows, slammed in the fall. Then we head back into what I talked about at the beginning of the year, or at the beginning of the video. We move back into that October, November, December, time crunch, money crunch, rinse, repeat. I think that's how this year is going to play out. Now, is that going to drastically swing card prices? And once again, when I say card prices, I'm talking about the normal day-to-day cards. Let's call it sub $1,000. It's probably even less than 500, but that range. I'm not talking about $30,000 LeBron RPAs or $500,000 Luka NT logo man nonsense shenanigans. I'm talking about PSA 10 Otanis, PSA 9 Silver Burrow Prism at football season time, whatever, that sort of stuff, and even lower stuff than that. But I think that's kind of how things are going to go. Is that like, just once again, I'm kind of sounding board here. Is that your general thought process throughout the year? It's like, like once again, shows are packed right now. Is it just because you have a little bit more free time, a little bit of extra money, tax man brought you a little gift, whatever the case might be? And I'm not saying any of this is bad, good, bad, or indifferent. I think this is just kind of the way. To steal a quote from The Mandalorian, this is the way. And I think it's kind of normal. And I think it kind of brings back, shows that we're kind of getting back to the way things were in the before times. Before 2021, when things got absolutely crazy in the card, or 2020 rather, when things got absolutely crazy in the card world in the 2021. Anyway, that's my little theory that I present to you. Am I crazy? Am I on to something here? I don't know that this is necessarily breaking new ground. I'm probably not the first person to pontificate something along these lines. But it does kind of feel like, I don't want to say we're in an artificial bubble of good vibes, but I wouldn't be surprised if things slowed down as we head into the summer months and then pick back up towards the end of summer, around the National, kind of kicking things off along with football season, that month of August. The Nationals at the end of July, leading into August, which leads us into the NFL season, which leads us right into the start of the NBA season, right after the start of the NFL season. Baseball playoffs, all that zeitgeist of sports. I mean, to me, when you kind of talk through it and lay it all out, they kind of overlap really nicely with each other. Whether it's the various sports schedules intertwined in with just how a majority of our day-to-day lives kind of flow throughout the year in regards to time and financial commitments. Overall, I think the card world is in a pretty good spot, all things considered, everything that we've gone through for the last 3 years. The people that wanted to leave and get out, that were just here for the quick buck, the sneaker flippers, the whatever, the people that just came in, I have to imagine at this point, most of the people that just came in for the quick tendies are gone. They filtered through, made their money, lost their money, got out. Some stuck around because they really liked it. Some stuck around because maybe they're still making money and they like it. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. There's nothing wrong with that. But it feels like we are in a stronger, better, more popular place than what we were prior to the pandemic. And I feel like a lot of the pandemic craziness is behind us. Pricing on wax is still kind of sorting itself out a little bit. But generally speaking, I do feel like we are in a pretty good place overall. So that's all I got for you boys and girls today. Just a little chitty chat. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.